Okay, so we are in our call tonight. We've already had quite an introduction to what the agenda was for this May 16th event coming up for you to take advantage of, because those of you who do take advantage of this and in turn sponsor somebody new are also going to have an opportunity to do what you're about to hear, which is to create what we call a PAK call. That's the vernacular that we use for it. But I just want to give you an experience of it. So Sahar, Leonardo, whose idea was it to host this call?
Hi, Mike, and
Hi, Sahar.
everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Oh, by the way, Sahar's brand new to Nikken, so welcome, Sahar.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And where are you calling in from tonight?
Excuse me?
Where are you?
I'm at home.
No, where?
Montreal.
Where in the world?
Oh, Montreal, yeah.
In Montreal, okay,
Yes.
perfect. So your sponsor is Leonardo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're newly sponsored. So whose idea was it to set up this? Now, I know you didn't call it a PAK call, but that's what we called it.
Originally was Christian's idea,
Okay.
to try to give this opportunity to all the new people, new to the family, to launch their business within a certain amount of time from their inscription. And I think it was a very good idea. So I suggested Sahar to go through this process of informing all of her friends, and she did it like wonderfully. She brought like more than 25 people to this call, and
Wait,
so it was an amazing.
Pause on that. That's an important point. If I'm not mistaken, I heard there were 29. So somewhere between 25 and 29 guests, Sahar?
Yes, actually, we all were 29. My guests were 25.
25
Yeah,
guests.
because Amir, Rajesh,
yes.
yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so
Yeah.
so now that's a heck of a way to kickstart your business. Now that's going to keep you busy for the next few days for sure. In the follow-up, you also recorded that call, I assume, yes?
Yes.
And
yes.
you had Ben Woodward as your A+ as your power A to present, and I believe he covered the Better Way presentation. Is
yes,
that correct?
exactly. Yes.
Perfect. So you had what is exactly going to be set up for this Saturday. Essentially, you're doing what we're talking about doing this Saturday, where every one of you have an opportunity to do what we're talking about here. So now, Sahar, how many people did you contact to invite to this special call?
Actually, I sent an invitation to 90 people.
90 people?
Yes, and about 27 people said yes, they confirmed. About 25 said maybe. So at the end, 25 people were there.
Yeah, but the surprising thing is that good parts of those 25 people were the maybe ones.
As in 30%. So about 1/3 of the people, gosh, don't you just love it when the rules are the rules? If you play by the rules, you'll win. We have a thing called the rule of thirds. And we know implicitly that this rule just follows us like, it just follows us. That's the way it is, life. So you took advantage of understanding that, whether you understood it or not. 90 contacts, 25 showed up. Now you said how many maybes?
About 20 something, 27.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So about a third, right? A third, yeah. No way, Jose.
Yes.
You couldn't convince me of that.
Actually, they didn't respond to my invitation.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you're applying yourself in what's called the launch plan, where we talk about you need at least, actually we have the launch plan very, very clearly laid out. Here's our launch strategy, and here's our launch plan. So the number on the launch plan is 81. So you contacted and invited 90 people. We're saying about 27 are going to be interested, about a third, and your number was 25, but you got a bunch of maybes still in the process. Who you will be sending that audio or that video to, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm sure of the maybes, as a result of watching the video that you're going to send them, there's going to be a heck of a lot more yeses than maybes come out of that. So your number will exceed 27 who actually show up. And now from the people who did show up, have you had any follow-ups yet?
Yes, I have been following up since yesterday, and about 5 of them like this business model, and I think one of them is more serious. single.
Okay, so
Yeah.
from the 25 who showed
Yes.
up, so did you follow up all 25, or you're still working
Yes,
on it?
almost, yeah.
Okay,
Most of them, yeah.
so you've got about 5 people who like the business model, you said?
Yes, yes,
And at least one who's going to be quite serious about it.
yes, exactly.
Okay, so that again breaks the numbers down to what we're hoping for, by the way, is that they'll probably round out to about 9 in total. So you've got maybe a few people in the maybe category who will be converted. Now, let me ask you something about the others, 25 who came. What about the 20 who are not necessarily liking the business model? Where do they stand on this?
Most of them said they are busy. They don't have time. Some of them told me they like this business, but they don't have time for it, or they think that this business is not made for them. And some of them told me they don't like it. A few of them, actually. Most of them told me they like it.
Okay,
I don't
good.
know. Yeah.
So what you have is follow-up, right?
Yes.
You have considerable follow-up to do, because with every single person who showed up, there's one thing that they can do for you. They can at least introduce you to someone else, because you're asking for help. And help could be indirectly, not always directly. Indirectly could be just lead me to somebody. So you have more work to do coming up in terms of the follow-up, with that understanding that it's okay if it's a no. I called you in the first place for your help. Maybe you can help me indirectly by leading me to somebody who you think I should be speaking with. So let's start with there. Of all the people you know, who do you think, based on what you've seen, might be inclined to be interested in health and well-being, might be inclined to maybe add something to their income, maybe start a business, be entrepreneurial? You can now go back to that category of people and ask for a referral. In fact, you can do that to everyone you've ever invited. So from that work that's going to follow, the rest of the numbers will fall in place. Some of them will be customers. We expect about 9 or 10 of them, about a third. Some of them are going to enroll, but not necessarily really build much of a business. But some of them who enroll are going to be serious. And so you're experiencing what we call classically the launch. And that's a wonderful way to get the business started, because what you're learning in this process is that it's a process. It's just that. You don't know who is going to be interested, who's not, who's going to lead, who's going to follow. It's just simply, let me do the work of exposing them in a very clear and professional way. Let me continue the follow-up, because follow-up, follow-up, follow-up is the key. There are people, I'm telling you right now, who said, no, I'm not interested. But here's what I want you to hear. No means not now.
Yes.
How many of you, by raising your hand, those of you who are on video, how many of you said no first?
Me.
Okay, there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5, 6 hands go up. 6 of the people that you see on screen said no first, but here they are. So no means not now. That just means you have a little bit more work to do where they're concerned, more follow-up, and that's fine. Remember, it's just a process. And so if we continue with that, what we will see is things will flush out the way they flush out. Now, what do you do with somebody who says, I want to do this, I want to kickstart this really quickly, get this going? What are you going to do? What are you going to suggest they do, Sahar?
But those who say no?
No. The ones who say, I want to do this in a serious way, what do you
Okay.
recommend they do?
Actually, I asked him for an appointment to have an ABC call with Leonardo. And yeah.
Okay, so the next step is, we
Yes.
need to meet and have that conversation for real,
Yes.
for real. And you know, we have a sort of a protocol to get people going, get people started. But the key to the success of their launch will be their list. And maybe you should suggest they launch the way you did, where you can organize a PAK call in the next week or two. In fact, if you get to it sooner than later, they can take advantage of this Saturday. So there's an example of how you can start to kick off somebody and start building momentum. And what's so exciting about this, Sahar, you have enough people saying yes, you're going to be very, very busy with them. You won't have time to worry about anybody who said no. I'd rather get it all up front. Shoot it all at one time to me, and then I can deal with it, rather than prolonging it. And remember, no is never no. It's just not now. So we don't even know which of those no's are going to join the business sometime down the road. So we're okay with that. Now, and then of course you have many contacts as follow-up, because if every one of them leads you to one person, let's say for instance, one of the people they lead you to actually isn't interested. You could go back to the first person who referred you and said, oh, by the way, that friend of yours is actually quite interested in Nikken. Do you want to maybe reconsider this and look at this a little bit more carefully? Because if they decide to get involved, they're going to need a sponsor. So it's just a great way to get the business started. So I congratulate you. I congratulate Leonardo and Christian for making the suggestion. And thank you, Ben, for the support, my upline, to make that event as a great kickstart. So folks, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about launching someone in the business.
Michael, can I ask a question?
You bet.
I have a new couple on, Chris and Lori, and they went through the process last week, Tuesday night, Thursday night, whatever, and I had that orientation with them. They have all those materials that you just send that up. And so in talking to them about inviting them to the various events this week to be ready for next week and to invite people, Chris has a good experience in sales. He's owned his own landscaping business. Lori's a nurse. She has her own housekeeping business or house cleaning business and Mary Kay background. So Chris, would you be willing to share with Michael and the group here what your response was? Because he's been working with me on sales techniques in the process. So this is perfect with him seeing what you just went over and what you heard tonight, Chris. You just muted yourself again. You had been unmuted.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know exactly what you want, but this is all new to us. We're still trying to understand the process. This is the first time I heard what a PAK call is, and sizzle calls, and power A's and power ABCs, and it's all silver blast. I write all this down, but
okay, let me recap one piece at a time for you, give you some context again. So the silvers of blast is an audio on YouTube. Listen to it, because it'll take you through what we just went through. Essentially, you know what we discovered was that a person could be involved in Nikken but not really launch Nikken. They could be in the business for months, even years, and still not really do a launch. And it wasn't until they made a committed decision to launch the business before their behavior changed. But in addition to the change in behavior is a change in attitude. So when you shift your attitude, which is your frequency, and we speak a lot about the law of attraction here, you change the outcome. The person showing up to the conversation, being you, is a different person than the one who had not made a committed decision. So a person could be a Nikken, doing the things that Nikken people do and getting a certain degree of success. But the second they shift in their attitude and they make a committed decision to really go for it, that behavior changes, their energy changes, their dialogue changes, and of course, it changes the way people respond to them. So what we found by interviewing all these newly minted silvers was that there was a moment in time they made a decision. And it was usually right on the heels of or during what we call a lock-in event. A lock-in event is simply an event that they attended that had a deep and emotional impact on them because they experienced Nikken through the eyes of many others. When you get on a call like this and you see that you're not alone, that there are many people in Nikken who are enthusiastic and committed, and you see the fire in their eyes, and you know that they really mean what they say, it changes the way you perceive Nikken. And until you get to one of these calls where you're able to be a participant in that, you sort of still see Nikken as a sort of a two-dimensional puzzle, trying to put the pieces all together. But when you get involved in it to this degree, where you feel the emotions of people, and you start to connect with those emotions and you realize, hey, they're not any different than I am. Maybe they've had a few more years of experience at this than I have, or even months, but we're all in this together, and you start to feel the feeling of Nikken, then there's something that can trigger a change in you. And that point, that switch happens usually at an event. We call that a lock-in event. So this Saturday that's coming could be a lock-in event for people who are maybe on the peripheries of Nikken, maybe involved in Nikken, but haven't really made a committed decision yet. You know, so it's people around the campfire, but they haven't really lit a match yet. So this lock-in event could be the equivalent of that for them this coming Saturday, or whoever you are who's been to an event or plugged into an event, which are mostly online at this moment in time, you might have that ignition switch happen. And now all of a sudden, the fire's ignited, you want to really go after this, and you need some direction. So the direction then is our plan.
Okay, if I could just interject what happened. On Sunday, Friday they had their lists, and on Sunday he said to me they were both making their lists. They each had their own separate 100 names list. They were excited. Then and the ladies leading ladies, they invited their daughter on, so it was a guest. It wasn't the right first event for the daughter. And so he's come from a sales background where he was the expert, not a network marketing sales. So when he went looking for videos and what to send, didn't find the quality that he liked, and the features and benefits list and the kinds of things. And so now what does he send to the
Well,
right
if you
people
haven't
to
seen
get
A
into
Better
the
Way,
event?
the one that, for instance, Ben did just this past week, he does a very clean,
I sent it to
simple
him.
presentation. And there's others like that. I like Ben's approach because he's got that British accent, and you know, we tend to like British accents. It makes it sound a little bit more authentic and professional. But anyway, there's other versions. But and we can help you get the resources. But let me get back to the context, because it's easier to follow when you understand context. Context creates meaning. So the goal was, how do I kickstart the business? How do I get things going? I've got to bring everything into context. So what I've just been referring to, this thing of a lock-in event, it's the moment in time the switch goes off. And it's usually because you've been exposed to Nikken through the eyes of others. Usually in a live event, it's typically in a live event. So this audio, Silver's a Blast, walks you through that there was this moment in time, they made a decision. Then following that decision, all of a sudden they ramped up their activity, which was pretty much what Sahar was doing, contacting and inviting a lot of people in a short span of time with a very clear and sincere message, an invitation to come and explore the idea of working together in a project that could change lives in a very significant and meaningful way. So there's that contact and invite, the first step in the process. And I'm referring to this card a lot. You can see this card online. You can get this card at lifeandbalancetools.com and hand it out. I use it as my tool for presenting. But essentially, there's 3 conversations that happen to take a person who knows nothing about Nikken to know enough to say, I'd like to get involved, either as a customer or as a consultant. But that doesn't yet cause the switch to go off. There's still one more step. They could be involved. They could be involved for a long time, but they still haven't ignited their business. That happens as a consequence of a lock-in event. So the sooner we can plan and get them to a lock-in event, the better, because what we're doing is we're moving them further into the process from a difference of being involved to being a launch partner. Somebody who's involved is somebody who's doing Nikken on a daily or bi-weekly basis, whatever. But somebody who's a launch partner is doing what Sahar's doing. They are on fire. They're rapidly contacting a lot of people in a short span of time to create an explosion. How? By pulling a team of people together at one time.
Could Sahar tell us what she said if she contacted
we'll get to
90
that.
people? Okay.
So what we're talking about is a lock-in event. That's that star. Let me switch this to speaker view so you can see this a little bit larger. So what we have here is we have a lock-in event that triggers somebody to move from being a consultant to being a partner. What's a partner? It's somebody who engages in a launch strategy. And what is a launch strategy? They essentially are going to take a number of people through this process, in the next 90 days, 3 bouts of 30 days. So Sahar started her first launch by contacting and inviting 90 people into this process. They had a conversation, they had a presentation. Now she's doing the follow-up. And from this will come partners, customers, and consultants. And then what? Well, the lock-in event, which could be this Saturday, will really help cement the consultants from the partners or the partners from the consultants. Or she may require another one-on-one conversation, something that will trigger the switch in somebody on her team so that they make the committed decision to go for it. She's already got an indication that one of those 5 are pretty serious. So what does it mean to really be serious? It means let's launch. What does it mean to launch? A number of people through the process in a short span of time. That's a launch. And so that's the distinction between a launch partner and a consultant. A consultant is someone who does Nikken with maybe some regularity or irregularity, but they don't necessarily have a goal. They don't necessarily have an objective in mind, like an achievement of silver rank, like completing one of the incentive programs. They don't necessarily have a goal. But a launch partner has a goal. They're working with their sponsor and their upline to create a launch because they have a goal in mind. They want to assemble a team, hit the silver rank as quickly as possible, and start duplicating that, because then they are on track to building out their Nikken business. So this is what a Nikken business looks like when it's really firing on all pistons. What you have here are all the consultants in the organization duplicating other consultants, but each of these consultants have customers. Each of these consultants have customers starting with you. You have key customers and key consultants. We call this your core circle of influence.
You don't have it on speaker view, Mike. It's not big enough for everybody.
You can't see me?
Oh,
We can see you, but it's on the little view.
Oh,
Mine
you
is
can
on-
change it. You can change it on your end to speaker view, by the way.
Okay, got it now.
I guess I'm switching between gallery view. Yeah. Okay, so basically there's videos on this, but the bottom line is I'm covering this in other calls where we actually get through this. But the idea is you create an explosion to create a core circle of influence. Key customers, key teammates. Now that you have key customers and key teammates, the goal is to duplicate that. Help your key partners duplicate that to have their own core circle of influence. And as we roll that down generationally, it creates expanding organization of customers and consultants. And customers and consultants consume products and promote. And that generates an ongoing and growing concern, so that as time progresses, you build a larger and larger base of business activity and subsequently a larger base of income. And of course, there's no limit to this. We're just giving you an example, an illustration of how to do this kind of like in a cookie cutter way. When you buy a franchise, you buy a system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you enroll in Nikken, you have a system. Now, Nikken doesn't insist on it being any way. They're just sort of the backdrop. But when you start working with your upline, generally speaking, has a system. And if they're making money, follow the system, because they pretty much know what they're doing, and they want you to make money. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm referring to what I employ as a system.
I gotta admit, that did sound snappy.
All right. So any other questions?
Could she please share what she said to 90 people in her text or whatever?
I sent a message to them that it's my first business launch. Can you be there to support me? And I didn't explain anything what exactly this business is about. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So there you go. That is as simple as it gets. And you had 25 people show up. So that's pretty impressive. By the way, for those of you who are looking for maybe something a little more scripted, I strongly suggest an audio that you can find on YouTube. This one's called Contact and Invite. And it's by yours truly, Mike DiMuccio, Contact and Invite. And it will give you the script that I use and continue to use and teach because I think it's a very powerful way to invite people. The only thing that I would add as a caveat to that is maybe just to give you a very clear distinction. When you're in launch mode and you want to attract consultants to your team, what I request, what I ask of contacts, what I ask of new people to ask their contacts for is their, quote, help. Ask for help. Ask for their help. What does it imply when you are asking someone for their help? It implies you respect them, you trust them, you rely on them. You could even make that as a statement. You could even call somebody, which is what I use in my scripts, and I tell them why I'm calling them. And the why I'm calling them is because of all the things I just said. I trust them, I respect them, I admire them, I appreciate them as a friend, as somebody who cares about people. And from that statement, which is why I'm calling them, I call that my motive for calling them. I then infer a motive for why they might want to actually have a conversation with me about a business context. And that has to do with what I think might be of interest to them. What do I know about them with respect to their 5 pillars of health where they may have a gap? And if I don't know that much about them, I just ask. I spell out the 5 words: body, mind, family, society, finances. I describe this as a balanced concept of health, and if there was an area in their life that had some shortcomings, which one would it be? Which 2 would it be, in fact? And they tell me, and then I explore that by asking them more about that. The net effect is we find out that there's a gap that needs to be filled, and I think I may have found a way to fill it. It may not be for you. Remember that. Always say that. Every single invitation you say, this may not be for you. If you can't help me directly, help me indirectly. So that creates a freedom so that they can explore this without feeling there's a string attached, without feeling an obligation. You simply want them to have a clear and clean opportunity to be informed from which they can then see where there might be a fit. So that is Contact and Invite. The audio you can find on YouTube. So now what you have is you have an introduction, a way to invite people. You have a place to invite them to. You can set up a PAK call via Zoom, like Sahar did. And you can invite your upline to participate in helping you to communicate or present the idea of Nikken in a credible way so that your contacts can learn about Nikken. You can record the call so that you have it to send to people who you invited but didn't come. And then you begin the follow-up, as is Sahar doing right now, to discover who wants to know more, what's next. So now, having said all that, this coming Saturday, May 16 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, we are going to do a 1-hour presentation in 3 parts that will cover the gambit of this idea to give people a real opportunity to explore and be introduced to Nikken in a very professional and convenient way. If you have people attending that, then you will have a follow-up email to send them and a follow-up dialogue to have, and from which any of those people who decide to get involved, you have a plan of action to offer them. A launch strategy, which could include a PAK call of their own for them that you can then invite your upline to participate in and help them kickstart their business. What a great way. Like, talk about a nice 1-2 punch. This is an amazing opportunity to kickstart anyone's business, no matter how long you've been in Nikken. And again, I
Mike,
encourage you to listen to Silver's a Blast, because you'll understand why I said that last point, no matter how long you've been in Nikken. Yes, Leonardo.
Sorry, Mike, I have a very hard question, I guess. If I've never launched my business my own, and let's say I have a limited amount of people that I know, and I should choose between an event that like the one that we're going to have on Saturday, or replying an event like a SAR had, where we're going to have an upline and more like a circumscript kind of event for all the people that I know. So like everyone feels like being part of being connected to me, that I mean the one inviting all of them to this very event where they feel like they're supporting me and they're not there with the hundreds of other people that they don't know. Which one would you recommend? You have to make it sure. Yeah.
So when you say you've never launched your business,
that's true. That's true. I never did like an event.
With respect to launching a business, the first key ingredient is your list, your contact list.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's paramount. I don't think it's one or the other. For instance, there's no reason why you couldn't invite, because you're not going to get the content that you're going to get Saturday on your own. Like, to have the people that we have lined up this coming Saturday, you're not going to get for your own private call. You're going to get some,
for sure.
You get something, but you're not, we've stacked the deck for this particular call. So you're going to have a really good,
the best of the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to have a really good, succinct presentation that you can leverage. So that's one. I would probably then be encouraging you to pick some A's to get onto that call, because then any one of those A's that want to lock in and go, you can then organize a PAK call around them. So I wouldn't wait. I would not wait. There's nothing in this business worse than waiting, because the compound effect is every day. And if you wait, that's what you're compounding. So the action I would be taking right now, knowing that I have a few days to round up some key people, is I would round up some key people for this key event, and then do the follow-up. That's not to say you shouldn't plan a future event. Just don't let this one go by without leveraging it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Mike. Dee asked in the chat a couple of times ago, what means of invitation did Sahar use? And I echo that question. In other words, did she use, of course she used phone calls, of course she used text, of course she used emails. How did she have a way of deciding which she would use for whom, or did she just do it?
So Sahar, the question then is, what was the means that you used to convey the invitation to your list?
I just used the text, copy pasted for everyone.
Copy pasted text.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, honestly, guys,
the name,
it doesn't get much simpler than what she's describing, right? We tend to make things a little more complicated. Now, what I have added to this equation is I've given you 5, or I think it's 5, icons or images that you can subsequently send. I don't think you should do one or the other. I think you should do as much as you can to ensure that somebody's getting the message. And so we've given you 5 different variations to the invitation, because each one has its own very unique presence. For instance, one has a picture of a woman. Another one has caricatures. And another one so we give you variations to the theme because it communicates different aspects and it looks good. So if you do an invitation, regardless of when you do a PAK call, when you make a decision and you're going to have a PAK call, you need to send out an invite, and you need to send a reminder invite the day of. So you better have an invite. By the way, I launched that today. So if you have a need to create a custom flyer for any online event that you're going to host, that has been launched today. So those flyers that we created for the upcoming May 16 event is now available to you to customize for your event in the near future. You can do that by clicking on the link that's been posted on the tools chat. It's been posted on the launch partners chat. It's been posted on the Team Canada chat. I'm not sure where else it needs to be posted. But if you need it, send me a text. If you need my phone number, you need to be on WhatsApp. Don't send me a text message, regular text. I won't respond. WhatsApp me at 416-409-5800. And so put me up as a contact on your list, 416-409-5800. And then you can send me a WhatsApp and I'll send you the link. And you can click on that link and immediately find the application for any one of the pictures. You just click the one that you want, enter the name information, enter the URL that your Zoom event is happening on, the day and time, and they'll send you the image customized for you. So we mean it, man. It's time to really go crazy with this. It's time to launch all pistons, because when has it ever been better for people to hear the message of Nikken? It's never been more relevant than now. So we want to give you every opportunity and every tool possible to up your game, to up level and present to your audience in a way that you mean business, in a professional way. But that doesn't preclude the simple text that you can copy, paste, and send out to your list. How many of you got a phone? How many of you got names on that phone? Why wouldn't you send them an invite? Especially if you've got a nice clean image. Say, hey, I don't know what you're doing this Saturday. Check this out. It could be your cousin, your friend, you're this. Do it. There's no reason in the world why they might not jump on that call.
Yeah. And Mike, if I can add something to what we're discussing.
Yes, go ahead.
No, sorry, just that what I was suggesting, Sahar, what we want to do at this very stage where we contact for the very first time a person is to arise interest and curiosity, and obviously asking for help and support, and not start like discussing over the phone when the person is asking what is about. Like we don't start like explaining over the phone what is this opportunity about. We want the person to have all the possible information delivered at the same time in the most like professional way, like Ben was doing, and that's actually what she did, and that's actually why the people they didn't insist, and eventually they came there to see what it was about.
That's excellent. That's
I think is an important point.
Very, very important point. Your first conversation in the contact and invite is to invite them. It's not to present. That's the second conversation. So if you find yourself presenting information about Nikken and the opportunity in the first conversation, you know you've gone too far. That's called selling it and buying it back. So don't do that. A presentation is what they deserve so that they can have a good, clear understanding of what's being offered and available to them. Now, granted, it's human nature to want to know so I can dismiss this as quickly as possible, right? If I'm a busy person, I want you to give me as much information that I can shoot it down real quick so I don't have to deal with this. So I don't have to change my schedule. I don't have to change my life. I don't have to entertain anything else because I'm already entertaining too much as it is, right? So how do you avoid that? You don't present. If somebody wants to know why, the answer is really, why them? Why should they be interested in spending the time to learn about this? It's really simple. What's in it for them? That's why. So if you have to get into a why, that's the only why you get into. What might be in it for them? What's the benefit to them? That's the only reason why they should invest any time or energy investigating anything anyway, because there's a benefit. So stick to the benefit. What's in it for them? That's the only thing that you would get into in that introductory call. Again, I remind you, listen to the contact and invite audio on YouTube by Mike DiMuccio, myself, and you will hear a very clear invitation that doesn't get you tripped up trying to answer what is Nikken, because it's not even important what is Nikken in that first conversation. It doesn't matter. It could be anything. It could be any opportunity. It's the question of whether or not there is room for an opportunity in their life, let alone this one or anyone. That's the key. And if there's one thing I've done well in my business, it's teach that concept, that you don't give away the house before you know you've got somebody who's interested in buying. They have to have a motivation, a motive, a reason to do the due diligence, the investigation. And that's the only reason why they would take the time. So you better figure it out sooner than later, up front. Help them sort that out. So please take the time to listen to that contact and invite scripts, because you'll see that it does do the work of creating the interest to participate in the next conversation, which will be a full-on presentation.
Mike, I have one more quick question. The first page of the PowerPoint that Ben did had the picture of the two young mountain climbers.
Yep.
And I really believe that that is a better representation of what a better way means. The second page, which had the woman singing, is a great picture, but I don't think it as closely resembles the message of a better way. It's more,
Okay,
it's
well,
much more specific.
I don't know if he changed the order.
No, not to change the order, not to even take any out, but could I get a picture of that first page?
So your request is, can you get a title page, the thumbnail that we use on the presentation? That presentation, by the way, the woman is actually the first image in the presentation, not the second, and then it goes from there. And if you've seen me do that presentation, which there is a version of, there's a French English translation version of me doing a better way.
Yeah, I saw it today.
You'll find that on it's a much longer version, because there is a translation involved, and I do get into it a little bit more intimately. But I talk about that picture of the woman being an emotion. It's about a person who's got something to say and they're saying it. And have you noticed how we fall in love with artists? What is our fascination as a human being with artists is because they have the courage to stand up and be bare naked in front of you and belt it out. And that's what's in everybody, is this desire, but we're shy. Many of us have been beaten down. And so that part of us that's in there wanting to come out stays quiet, stays reserved. And there's just simply got to be a better way, something that'll bring that passion back out of you. And that's when I transition into the presentation. So there's a reason why that slide is there. And Ben and I both agreed to why that slide should be there. So, but as far as answering your question regarding the thumbnail, yes, I can provide you with that thumbnail. Send me a message on the text, and I'll get it to you. It's in my
on the text in WhatsApp, or on this text?
On the WhatsApp, please.
Okay. Okay, and by the way, I'm starting my video to show you what I got in the mail.
Oh my.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
I'm so excited. I already started outlining and taking notes. And
She's holding up a copy of a book called The Science of the Nikken Business, a PhD in Nikken. This was
DiMuccio.
Yeah, this was by me. So what this represents is it's videos. I did a series of training videos, and there was a colleague of mine, Antonio Raimondo, thought this was one of the best Nikken curriculums ever. So he asked permission to convert the trainings, the videos, into transcribe the videos and so forth in slides. So this is the compilation. And I have to tell you, everybody in Nikken, the CEO, the president of the company, they've all read this book. And many of the things that have been implemented in the last 5 years are directly out of this book. So if you're curious about or learning more of how to apply yourself in this in a more business-like way, and you'll hear these conversations and these stories and many examples of the launch strategy right here in this book. So you can get this online, The Science of the Nikken Business. Good for you. I'm a terrible promoter of myself. I should have been promoting this book a long time ago.
Yes.
Well, I'll be looking forward to any insights you want to bring to that, Mrs. Kramer, because I'm sure it's a good book in this day and age, maybe even more so today.
He refers to DVDs and points times on the DVDs. And
oh, yes, it does. Yeah, there were DVDs available at one point in time, so that you could actually watch the DVD and then refer to the book and the timestamp in the book. Those DVDs are not available. In fact, they've never been uploaded to YouTube. What a shame. I know I have them somewhere, so maybe one day I'll get to that too. But the book is available. Well, listen, I appreciate the support. So thank you. I hope you got something out of tonight's call, because I think it's important that you know there is a good protocol for launching your business or somebody that you enroll. Because I think one of the things that hold people back from sponsoring people is a subconscious fear that they don't know what they're going to do if they actually join. There's a certain subconscious fear like, well, what if they say yes? Then what do I do? And so inherent in that is maybe this drawback, this fear of enrolling somebody. So if we know what to do with them, if we're really confident that we do have a plan, a strategy to help somebody launch, then you don't have to worry about that. Now you just want to find some people to launch. And remember, always remember, somebody in your upline knows what to do. Just make the calls and you'll find somebody who'd be more than happy to help you sort it out and tailor that plan that's right for you. So I want to thank everybody, congratulate everybody. Leo, I think you were top spot again in the month of April here in Canada. I want to congratulate Leo and May again, top spot for PGV. This guy is a superstar. He's a rock star in Nikken in Canada, blowing it up. So congratulations to you. And I hope everybody, remember, this is the start of something big. We're in May. Things are looking really good. The world is sort of coming back around to life, and we haven't skipped a beat. So focus your attention.
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey, before you leave, I have a question.
Shoot.
I've got this flyer on my cell phone.
More than I needed.
Okay.
Got it?
So there's a real question. I know you're really late and I wanted to get onto this. It's asking you for emails, first mails, choose your flyer outlet and all that stuff, the event time. And then at the end, you're supposed to review it, say yes, and submit it. And then what happens? Do I get that from Google to submit?
When you submit it, it goes to the creative artist. They will then create the flyer. They have the templates. They'll put your information in and send you back a PDF and a JPEG of that flyer.
Okay. So I can choose all four.
Yeah, you can do one of each.
One of each.
I don't know if it gives you the option to do more than one in one shot. You might have to do each time you
For
do
each one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. By the way, guys, those flyers cost me $10 a piece. So I'm not complaining. I put it out there for you to benefit. I'm making an investment in your business by doing this. So take advantage. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.